Good morning. Whoa, music went right off. Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk Sunday. Stream of consciousness. How's everybody doing today? You know, there's scorcher here in the Northeast. Getting used to it. It is hot in the summer, guys. Just before you jump to any conclusions. I want to welcome everybody watching this morning on TGI Sports Talk Facebook platform or YouTube platform. Roku on Northeast Streaming Sports. It's National Streaming Sports now as we do the show that I just jumped off of. But on Roku, it's still branded until some changes get made. Northeast Streaming Sports. You got the Roku app or Roku TV. Go download the Northeast Streaming Sports channel and you'll get tons and tons of great content. A couple of announcements as far as where the show airs. We will no longer be live on Let's Talk Sports YouTube channel. No animosity. This was my decision to jump off of there. It's a great channel. They have lots of great content, and they will continue to have that. And I thank Tanner D and Dan Harris. Thumbs up to you. This was Dan's baby, and I was a contributor for a long time. And I don't make the decision lightly, but I wasn't going to I just couldn't, and maybe I'm making a mistake. I don't know. They build that network into something huge, and Tanner might do that. Tanner's that type of guy. But I couldn't just put all my eggs in one basket. Quite frankly, all the live content would have gone through the LTS YouTube channel, and I couldn't do that. We get thousands and thousands, I get dozens of views there, quite frankly, and that's liable to change a lot, but we get thousands of views here and on Facebook, so I couldn't just abandon that. Plus, I've got a long-time relationship with National Streaming Sports as well, so we wanted to continue that. So no hard feelings on either side. I'll guest on some shows over there most likely, and I'm happy to, Nick and Scott and Tanner and Alan and the crew, all great. And I'm missing some guys over there, so I apologize. I don't mean to leave anybody out. Sam, all great guys. I just found out as I logged in or started the show this morning, apparently we will no longer be able to go live on X. I can probably share the show afterwards, which I will. It's too bad because we were getting lots of followers and lots of comments through X. But and apparently if you don't have a premium account with X, you can no longer go live, and I'm unlikely to pay them to do that. So we'll see how that works out. So anybody, well, you're not seeing me if you used to tune in on X. You're going to have to get me on You're going to have to get me on the TGI Sports Talk affiliates or watch us on Roku. I do both. You can watch the big screen and put comments up on Facebook if you like. Quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph was just on when I was on with the big Sunday sports show. Their big NFL, what do we call it? The big football show, I guess, on National Streaming Sports. I go on from 8 to 8:30 there. Ralph was there. Ralph does some great stuff out of Pittsburgh and covers sports nationwide as well. Local political stuff on Facebook. And specifically, excuse me, I'm a little jumbled this morning, and I'll talk about that in a second. But Ralph does some great stuff, including a sports corner with Smoke and Jim Frazier from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, YouTube, and such. And he does a lot of other great stuff. I want to thank my guest from Keith Engle, a one-on-one with Keith Engle on Friday, Brett Saberhagen. We had a lot of fun. Brett had a little trouble getting in. We started a little late, but man, we went a long time, and I could have kept going with Brett. We had a great conversation about his career, about some of the stuff in baseball today. Guys getting taken out in the 7th inning with 99 pitches for no hitters. Ridiculous. And Brett backed up. Every veteran I talk to tells me the same thing, by the way. Anyway, we had a great time with Brett, and we want to make sure, check out Sabe's Wings, SABES Wings. They're doing great stuff to raise money to help families that can't afford the cancer treatments they may be going through. So check that out. We'll continue to promote that, that cause as well. And thank you to anybody who helped out with the Jimmy Fund event that was there done yesterday out in Massachusetts by the Ted Williams Camp Alumni Association. They did a great job and raised a bunch of money for the Jimmy Fund. It's funny. I had trouble. Let me just check just to make sure there's no problems here, because I know that if I don't. Good morning, Paul Spade. I'll say some good mornings in a second. Good morning, Rick. Good morning, Kenny. Good morning, HCA. Alex Simpson's with us. Good to have you with us. Chris Efron's with us. F. Grave. Who's Chris Efron? Chris F. Grave. Welcome. I just had trouble getting motivated today. Lots, with everything that went on yesterday. Outside of, the big news, obviously, I've had some issues, not issues. I'm still here. But another, a really good friend of mine who I played a lot of golf with and haven't the last couple of years. And I really am feeling bad about that. The fact that, as I get older, my circle of friends shrinks. And some people become casualties that don't deserve it. Really, nobody deserves it, I suppose. It's just a matter of circumstance and life, right? But we played golf a lot together, and we'll play the last few years, not as much, maybe once or twice a year. And he's younger than me. I got to believe that he was 10 years younger than me, and he passed away suddenly sometime Friday. I woke up to this news on Facebook yesterday. Haven't had a one-on-one conversation with his wife yet, because I don't feel it's appropriate yet to reach out. And that I did reach out to her, but I don't know what happened, and I wish I did. And it's been, it's just a factor of age. I lost 3 friends. I would say good friends, people that have come in and out of my life over the last 50 years, in the last 2 weeks. And I meant to say this last week, to the families of Louis Maglioka. Known Louis since I was a kid, and he was playing ball in Amsterdam. He was younger than me, 60, but he was still on some of those teams when we were playing wee men baseball and such. And certainly know Louis more as an adult and his brothers. And just a great, great guy, gregarious. Did a lot of great stuff for the Schenectady YMCA and helping revitalize some of that downtown area and making some shelter for homeless people, quite frankly. Stephen Ryan, who was one of the Ryan family, which is an iconic family, if I can use that word, in Perth, New York, and now in Amsterdam, New York. I graduated with his brother. His twin sisters have popped in here from time to time. All great people, great family. And Steve passed away a couple of weeks ago now, and I did make mention of that. And now, most recently, Scott Neer, a good friend of mine, that I wish I had cultivated a little more, I guess. I mean, we were golf buddies, and we had fun every single time we played golf. I played golf with him and his wife many times, and it's just been a messed up week. And I go out, so my wife could tell I was a little bummed out yesterday. So, and again, it just makes you understand your own mortality, right? Not to be morbid, we'll move on to some sports, I promise you. And then yesterday, all this look at, we're not going to get into this a lot today. We can touch on it. And if it goes too far, I'm going to really cut it off quickly. What really is upsetting me, the events of yesterday upset me a lot to begin with. But the rhetoric afterwards, when I look at Facebook, I want to delete about half the people that I know. Because there are people out there that are happy that this happened or unhappy that it was not successful. You people are the scum of the earth. I'm sorry. If you're on this show and you think that way, then you're free to go. I don't care about your political affiliations or mine. If this had happened to the sitting president of the United States or anybody else that I don't agree with, I would tell you that it was a dastardly event and should not be happening in this country. And anybody who is either happy that it happened or wants to say, hey, Joe, nice try. There's problems on both sides of the aisle here. I'm not just blaming the haters who were upset that this wasn't a successful thing. I had a friend of mine, an acquaintance, how about that, who posted a bunch of ridiculous stuff. And then he took it down. Maybe Facebook took it down. I don't know. I had other people who said, if you're happy about what happened yesterday, no matter what, and you're my friend. I have lots of friends that I disagree with. A lot of them right here on the show. But they said, if you're unhappy or if you're happy in any way about what happened, delete me as a friend. I had a few people put that up. And the comments were, hey, happy to go. You people are the problem. I hope you understand that. On both sides. I'm not blaming anybody here except both sides of the aisle and people who think this is, either some kind of conspiracy or engineered by the administration or on the other side wish it had been successful. Just stop. All right. Let's get to some sports. I need to get that off my chest this morning because it's really disgusting what the hell's going on here. I didn't throw me off a bit. I'm always going to do this. I've done this for years, and I'm going to continue to do the back-to-back shows. I try to get off of there when I can by 8:29. They would have kept going if I hadn't said goodbye. I'm okay coming on a minute late. It's not the end of the world. Well, I'm probably going to be a little tighter in factor when, as we get closer to football season, because I'm probably not going to go till 11 o'clock in the morning. We go long almost every Sunday. And I'd like to, and I can do it. I can, just stop show at 10:30. And I'd like to, so that I can share it and replay it on Roku. You can't, unfortunately on Roku, you cannot replay any content that's longer than 2 hours. So I don't replay it again, probably none of you guys are going to see it at midnight. Danny Fuller might, but I can't replay it at any point in time. So, but I'm not going to stop doing the Mac and Jack show because I enjoy it. I get over there and we debate some topics and some things come up that I want to talk about too. Anyway, I'll get into your comments again in a second. If you want to talk about stuff today, I was looking at, in baseball, we got the breaks here. The break is here. Who's the break good for? I think the Dodgers got the break at just the right time. Not only are they 3-7 in their last 10 and worse than that, probably over the last 15, but they blow a 5-run lead in the ninth inning yesterday to the Tigers and lose in extra innings. I think probably a good time for the Dodgers, a good time for the O's. As bad as the Yankees are playing, they just won 2 games and are tied for first. So a good time for a break for them, probably for the Yankees as well. Probably a bad time for the Mets, who are playing really good baseball. And you hate to see that momentum broken. Judge has got 34 home runs, most by a Yankee in history at the break. The Phillies have 8 guys on it. If we care about the All-Star game, and again, Drew and I were discussing this Friday, I don't really care. 8 players sets a record, but is it really a record? Because some of those were replacing their own players. So I'm not sure how that's a real thing. I guess who's the best team right now? The teams that have been struggling, who's best positioned maybe to make a run? In the NFL, Monty Kiffin, longtime defensive coordinator, defensive assistant in the NFL, father of Lane Kiffin, passed away. Our condolences to his family and friends. Very, I think, important figure in the NFL with some of the things he put in. Bill Belichick going to the Inside the NFL. Besides a Manning cast he'll be on Inside the NFL, which somebody told me is on the CW now. I don't even know where it is. That show has kind of gone downhill in my eyes. What else did I want to mention here? That's not NFL. NBA. A lot of controversy about the Olympic team and Kevin Durant. Kawhi Leonard has been sent home. Again, this applies to the NFL. The Olympics, the WBC, the World Baseball Classic, any international competitions. You have a problem as a fan seeing the best players. Again, there's some argument about the best teams being put together. I won't say best players. And risking injury. I don't have a problem with it because I guarantee you that if people refuse to go. If LeBron refused to go, for instance, he'd be getting killed for his lack of patriotism. So we can talk a little about that. Angel Reese's historic double-double streak ended. NBA, Jalen Brunson signs an extension. Now, listen, it's not a little bit of money, $156 million for 4 years. I'm not saying that's a little bit of money, but he leaves $113 million on the table. That's how much more he could have gotten if he waited a year. But he wanted to sign a team-friendly contract. We don't see that a lot. We've seen it out of Tom Brady's. Or somebody else I had in mind. By the way, when you want to win, that's the kind of thing you do. And I understand you're not giving up a lot of money. NCAA, Dylan Gabriel is a new favorite for the Heisman Trophy. He has moved ahead of previous, I think Carson Beck was listed one first. Originally, he's moved ahead of him. And also, who the heck is the other guy? Cam Ewers. And the ESPYs. Do we care about the ESPYs? I mean, at one time, the ESPYs were kind of interesting. But the ESPYs had a couple of interesting awards, if you will. One I loved, Steve Gleason, former New Orleans Saint, was given the Arthur Ashe Award. Steve Gleason, if you don't know who he was a great special team player. Specifically, I think he played defensive back with the Saints as well. He's been suffering with ALS since 2011, I think. I've seen a special on this. It was 5 or 6 years ago now, and it's a hideous disease. Hideous. And if you saw this presentation, and his speech was very moving, and I think that was a good part of it. The second part is Prince Harry gets the Pat Tillman Award. His mother was very outspoken, Pat Tillman's mother, Mary, about Prince Harry getting this award. And I kind of feel the same way. I think they're probably more fitting people to win this award. Anyway, a couple things I got. This is your show. Throw your stuff out there. Let's have some fun. Cheer me up or piss me off. It really doesn't matter to me today. Anyway, I said good morning to Paul. I said good morning to Drew. If I didn't say good morning, Drew, I know I put your comment up, but good morning. I said good morning to CA. I said good morning to Alec. Good to have you back, Alec, as we get closer to football season. Anthony Price is with us this morning. Good morning, Anthony. Great to have you. CA FanDuel TV Exchange Channel showing live the PDC matchup right now. Professional darts. CA is our correspondent on the professional dart tournaments as they go on. Kenny, even Paula can't understand why they would take a pitcher out who's 9 outs, 6 outs, not 9, 6. He got taken out once before this year in a 6th inning with a no-hitter, which would have been 9 outs, obviously. We may see a perfect. We could see them, right? We saw one earlier. Blanco did pitch one, but you better throw 100 pitches or you're not going to get it. I think Blanco, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm sure Drew will correct me, threw 105 pitches in that no-hitter he had back in April. So we will see them, Kenny, but, are they going to come in great droves? No. And as I said Friday, and I know a lot of guys weren't here. Drew was here, and we had a small live crowd anyway Friday. We had good response to our Major League Baseball update, as we'll always do after the fact. But we talked about this, and, to me, it cheats the player. It cheats, and he said all the right things, but what's he going to say? Again, I don't support insubordination, as I said on the show Friday, but, somebody needs to sit out there. Brett Saberhagen said it to me Friday morning during an interview. I asked him point blank. He said, I'd have never given up the ball. Now, it was a different time for him, right? And again, I know some of you will say, well, if he'd done that, you would have ripped him for that. I probably would have. Not during a no-hitter, I wouldn't have. But, if you're out there struggling and your manager comes to take you out, that's totally different than being 6 outs, by the way. 6 outs, Kenny, from a pinnacle, a great pinnacle in sport. So we'll see them. We'll see multi-pitcher no-hitters. We see those quite a bit. Not quite a bit, but enough. And he'd only thrown 6 pitches the inning before. I mean, it's not like he was working hard out there. I mean, whatever, right? It's crazy. We can continue to discuss that. So I don't have any feelings either way. I just think he has brought this on himself. That's all I have to say. Well, fair enough. I mean, again, it shouldn't happen. I know what we're talking about. It should never happen. And my biggest problem is he did bring it on himself. The rhetoric is the same way on both sides of that. I know you know that, Kenny, because I've seen your posts. And I know they're more pointed in that direction, but that's okay. And listen, I'm not unfriending people. I may unfriend people who are happy, who anybody who posts that, oh my God, it's too bad we missed by 2 inches. Leave that up, Facebook. I'll take down people that put up really important comments, but whatever. We don't even know who this guy is. I actually saw a post this morning where the guy was calling this guy an American hero. He posted his name, which is escaping me right now, Thomas, whatever. No, they all have to have 3 names, assassins, by the way. What's with that? I laugh out of ridiculousness, by the way. This guy posted it. He's a true American patriot. Are you freaking kidding me? That's coming not from, again, you can say he brought it on himself. You can say whatever you want. This shouldn't be happening. We act like a third world country right now when it comes to this type of thing. Anyway, I won't go on too much about that. We all appreciate the time you put in for all of us. Well, thank you, Drew. I appreciate that. I have a lot of fun. You guys know I have a lot of fun. It's a place for me to vent, especially this show. I mean, this hasn't been an easy morning to do the show, quite frankly, between everything going on. But I'm here. It's just a great relaxing show every Sunday. Sometimes I get worked up, and I apologize for that. But I'm a passionate person when it comes to things I believe in. Like pitchers getting taken out of no hitters to 17. It's funny. And again, it's a sports show at its heart, right? So again, is that the most important thing that happened this week? Obviously not. But I'm going to get worked up over this until it stops happening, and it won't. But thank you, Paul. I want this. It's funny. It took me a couple of years to get the show where I want it to be, and it's kind of a rollicking peaks and valleys show. But I want it to be your show, and I don't think I'm gonna bring guests on this show. We're gonna use we'll still have Jim Beringer around. I'm gonna have him on, I think, on the 101 show to kind of update us on hockey in a few weeks. Chris, I know you mentioned maybe Paul Rosen for some hockey stuff. I could have them on together, to be honest with you. Jim's a very good friend of mine. Jim's been with me since the beginning. Jim is very knowledgeable. Jim will be back with us for sure. He's been away and we haven't been able to connect. And again, it kind of, I have felt doing it on Sundays kind of disrupts the flow of the show. Right. So I don't know, maybe I'll create a new show. Oh God. I keep saying I don't have any more bandwidth to do more, but maybe we'll just have I think what we'll do is we'll have him on the 101 show every now and again. Chris says, happy birthday, Robin Ventura, 57 years old. Never mind. Come on. Listen, Robin Ventura was a great player. Not a Hall of Fame player, but he's a great player. Great defensive player. Had a lot of 30 home run seasons, had some big home runs, played for the Mets and Yankees both. He had a home run in the playoffs. It was actually turned into a single, I believe, when it won a playoff game against the Braves. But I'm never going to forget the Nolan Ryan stuff. It's my favorite day in baseball. Whenever I see that clip come up, I send it to a friend of my that friend of mine. She works for me as well, but she's a huge Robin Ventura fan. She's a Met fan. David Wright. She likes Mets third basemen for some reason. Maybe Lori's watching. Hello, Lori, if you are. And I always send her the clip every year because I think it's hilarious when a 45 45-year-old guy or whatever the hell he was at that time, 42, was beating the crap out of some 24-year-old kid. It's so funny and it's hilarious. And they ought to have a rematch today. Right? I mean, I think Nolan's probably about 77. The odds will probably be more even for Robin. Yeah, I'll never look at just because that happened doesn't take away from Robin Ventura's career. He had a really good career. I probably used great too many times in the sentences with Robin. Robin was a very good player. The NFL will have an issue with the players in the next Olympics wanting to play flag football. How does flag football become an Olympic sport? I mean, maybe I'm being too hard, but I don't get it. Baseball comes and goes, but flag football's here. And I don't think those guys are going to go play flag football for their country, Alec. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Is flag football big in England? Alec? I know it's getting big here. I really do understand that it is. In fact, I think there's a women's professional league, right? I don't remember who I talked to about this. We might have talked about it on this show. But I'm letting the pros go. Again, if you sign a guy and you don't want him competing in international competitions, then put it in his contract. Take the onus off him. Of course, fans will rip him for signing the contract. Because that's the funny part. When it came up the other day, I think it was a Friday on the Mac and Jack show, we talked about this. And I mean, I was very adamant that the conversation was about Durant, and does he owe more to the Suns to kind of rest this summer and not play in the Olympics because he's older and his health, he's had injury history. But I said, if these guys refuse to go, imagine if LeBron said, I'm not going. Well, every single person would be on him for his lack of patriotism. I mean, you can't win in this country. If they go, we rip them. You're not being fair to the team that's paying you millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. People want to see him. I want to watch basketball in the Olympics, and I want to see the best team. I made a mistake of saying the best players they take the other day, and Mac jumped on me that they don't take the best players, and I really misspoke. What I mean is the best team. That isn't always the best players, by the way, because you need role players. And I'm okay to WBC. And when Diaz gets hurt and misses an entire season, I think during a celebration is how he got hurt too, by the way. But I don't care. You get hurt doing anything. You can get hurt. Hell, who was it? I might have had him on my show. Who was it who missed starts because he sneezed wrong? I mean, God, you get hurt doing anything. Beck and Gabriel, two studs right there. Listen, Dylan Gabriel has been very good in his previous stops at Florida International, and he was even better at Oklahoma. And now he's going to Oregon, who turned Bo Nix from to like the 8th pick in the draft, or where was he? The 12th? I don't know where he got drafted. A number 1 draft pick who may start this year. I'm not a big Bo Nix fan, but listen, in college football, he was a great quarterback the last 2 years. Dylan Gabriel will be even better in that Oregon offense. So I think I would make Gabriel the odds-on favorite right now to win that award. But Beck's a great player too, and somebody will sneak up, right, Paul? There's always going to be guys we aren't even thinking about now, and we'll get into that. By the way, since we're talking about college football a little bit, the college football huddle is on hiatus, as we have done the last couple of Julys. We'll be back in August, probably not the first week in August, maybe the second week, depending on what the news cycle is and whatnot. So first, second week in August, we'll be back with that, and we'll be diving into some more great players and expectations and handicapping some of the leagues. Drew remembers the best fielding infield. Actually, that's a pretty good point. At that point in time, it was certainly the best in history with Ventura or Donez. Couldn't hit a lick, by the way. Alfonso and Olrud. Three of those four guys could hit the ball a little bit too. Best defensive infield ever? A pretty good debate for the MLB show one day, right? It could very well be up there, right? As I think of great defensive infields, I mean, I think of the Orioles, but was Boog Powell a great defensive first baseman when Robinson and Belanger were on the left side? Davey Johnson was on the second base. Boog Powell was a competent first baseman, but not as good as John Olrud. Those great Dodger infields that stayed together like a record 10 or 11 years. Garvey, Lopes, Russell, and Say, not great defensive players. Say was a great defensive player. Didn't win a lot of Gold Gloves because Mike Schmidt happened to be playing at the same time. Just read a great autobiography by Ron Say, actually, on Kindle. Good stuff. I'm reading a book now about the Dodger-Giant rivalry, which is pretty interesting. But anyway, that's a great point, Drew. Pretty good debate. I have to look more into it. Anthony says the only thing about the ESPYs was the best play award going to Lamar for best. I don't get into any of that stuff. I don't really care. I didn't watch it. I mean, I watched on YouTube the next day the Steve Gleason award. The Arthur Ashe Award to me is an important award that they give out. There have been some great moments on the ESPYs. You go back to Jim Valvano and the speech he gave, as he was literally dying. So again, the show itself, I could care less about the best play award, the best whatever. I mean, some of those things, it's fun. And again, if you watch it, I'm not berating you. It's just not something that I can get into. I guess when it started, I had some interest in some of that stuff, but you see all this stuff today so much that. But I do think there was some news generated there. The Steve Gleason Award was not getting the Arthur Ashe Award, and his presentation was kind of moving. If you know the story of Steve Gleason, I don't know if James was done on the big football show. If he pops in here, I know Steve Gleason is somebody that he knows his story. I, as a Patriot fan, Kevin Turner, former fullback with the Patriots, certainly well before the dynasty, but was part of some good football teams. With the Patriots, he was diagnosed, I think, in 1994. There was another special I watched. He's passed away since. That was highlighting his struggles with ALS. So it was very moving. And I just don't get the Prince Harry thing. I mean, why is he getting the Pat Tillman Award? I got to believe that we have U.S. servicemen. And listen, I don't want to berate Prince Harry. And I guess maybe I shouldn't even speak up because I don't know enough of the background, and I don't like doing that. And I'll say that I'll qualify this statement with that. I doubt very much that Prince Harry was in some of the. Listen, he served in the war. I get it, and he was on the front lines. How close to the front lines, I don't know. Did he see the dangerous action that other guys, whether we're talking about the British military or the U.S. military, saw? My guess would be no. I don't know enough. And that's why I'm qualifying my statement now. And if I'm wrong, then I apologize. But I'm not getting it. The Red Sox, look at the Red Sox have a great shot. Gosh, Paul, you should be happy with the way they're playing. And a break might have come at a bad time for them. They've been playing great baseball the last few weeks. 10 games over 500. I believe it's our high water mark. Only 4.5 out of first place. 4 in the loss column, which really matters. And Alex Cora is begging management to go by because he feels this team is good enough. And I'm shocked. You talk about a team. First of all, we talk about next man up because they've had a lot of injuries, just like a lot of teams have. They've had a lot of injuries. But when Brian Bell was your ace, and I didn't think this team was that good without the injuries, or rather, other than Devers and maybe a couple other guys. I loved Duran. He's a really nice player. But they've done a great job. This is Alex Cora right now is a manager of the year in baseball at the midseason mark, in my mind. So, yeah, they got a playoff spot. If the season ended today, I think they're in a wild card, the last wild card, aren't they? Yeah, right now they have they're tied in wins with the Royals, but they have them in the loss column. So, anyway. Yeah, well, there is that too, Drew. Everybody has a chance. We talked about this, and I do think it's more than 5, Drew, but I mean, in the National League, there's only 2 that are eliminated. That we talked about Friday, the Rockies and the Marlins, right? Washington, I don't think Washington's got a shot, really. I mean, I could say they're only 6 games back, so they're certainly mathematically have a decent shot, but I would probably eliminate them as well, which would leave 3 teams in the National League. And in the American League, the White Sox, obviously, the Athletics, and the Blue Jays, that's 7. That's 6, sorry. Or if I go as far as the Blue Jays, that's 7. All right, so if I want to be fair and leave the Nationals in, that's 6. And the Rangers, I guess, because they're defending champions, they are 5 games under 500, but only 7.5 back. It's still a lot because there's a lot. It's not the problem when you're 7.5 or 6 even. It's not just the games; it's the number of teams in front of you. You got to have all these teams go bad, and that's just not going to happen. But I mean, 5, you could say 5, Drew. I would say more like 6 or 7, but still. That leaves an awful lot of teams buying. And the Red Sox have a better shot than, say, I don't know, even the Rangers. I mean, right now they're 10 games over 500, 15 games, or not 15 games. What am I talking about? 7.5. Just look at the numbers. 7.5 games better than the Red Sox. This poor kid will never make history other than throwing 100 miles an hour. Well, and I hope he doesn't get hurt, right? Because again, the way they treat pitchers today, they pretend they're protecting them, but they are not. I mean, that's all a ruse. I'm really upset how X changing their rules without telling me. Let's see. Am I on X right now? Would they give me a warning? No, I'm not even there. Okay. Got to throttle our live audience a little bit. That's fine. I'll share it afterwards. But again, everybody wants money. So anyway, they put up this smoke screen that they're trying to protect pitchers' health with all these rules, and the way they baby them. Drew and I talked about, again, just the way the kid's been not just him, they're all babied. I don't think he was looking to come out of that game, though. And I hope he doesn't get hurt because they want him to go out there and throw 100 miles an hour as long as you can. Throw as hard and as long as you can. Come on. Good God. By the way, I will say this. Paul Skeens might had the best first half in all of history for America for pitching rookies. He doesn't have the wins that Fernando had. I think he's got 6 wins, and Fernando won his first 8 starts in 81. If you're old enough to remember Fernando Mania, which most of us are in this group. But all his other numbers are much better than Fernando's. He's a pitching phenom. He's really he's still a little wild here and there, but when he harnesses that stuff, I mean, look how good he is without harnessing his stuff. Chris, what you got here? No ground noise, a friend. I can hear it in your voice. Skip beer today. Make it Arnold Palmer iced tea and lemonade. Well, we went out and had some beers yesterday. I thought about some old fashions, but we sat outside. Well, we're not outside. We went to a place called Peddlers, Old Peddlers, and they've got a nice. It's outside, but it's not outside, right? So the bar is kind of in the patio area, which is not all enclosed. They got it was very comfortable. It was warm, but it was comfortable, and I enjoyed that. I wanted to be outside a little bit, but it's hard with the heat. You can't be directly outside, but it was very comfortable. And we just hung at the bar, which I have trouble getting my wife to do. It's not her thing. That's my thing. But we had a really good time. But Arnold Palmer. By the way, there are things in the Arnold Palmer that are not just iced tea and lemonade. We'll have a few beers today, probably a few mics. Probably doing something later with the kids and the grandkid. We'll have some fun. We're going to have Larry back, probably on the Friday show as well. Rick, I plan on bringing him back in August so that we can talk a little about baseball as it is today and also the upcoming college season as well. I might even split it up. I mean, that whole hour on a Friday morning might be just about the game today. And we'll regroup. We interviewed Larry for the one-on-one show, gosh, early on. That's how Larry became such a good friend of the show. But we'll have him in the college football huddle as well. Talk a little bit about the ACC and the world of college football. Good morning, Dave Guyette, up in Amsterdam, New York. Judge will break his own home run record this season. If he doesn't get hurt, he most likely is going to get to 62, I would think, or 63, right? Would be the record. As I said at the top, he's got the most home runs at any Yankee, including Ruth and Maris had at the break. Now, again, that's relative. You have to look at the number of games played by him compared to the number of games they played by the break, because it has varied throughout history. So whatever. But he's on a pace, I think, for 60 home runs right now. Let me see. I will tell you exactly. What's he got? 34 divided by. Wow, they played 97 games already. Is that right? Wow. Times 162. He's on a pace for 57 home runs. 56.7 home runs. Doesn't get hurt. He's been, again, remember, he didn't hardly have any in April. How fast things can change, right? Judge, people, and me, I did not jump on what's wrong with Judge when he got off to a bad start? Baseball's baseball. What's going on here? Nothing, I guess. So anyway, I think he will take a run at it. People are still talking about Bonds. He's not catching Bonds, I don't think. I mean, he'd have to have a really good stretch the rest of July and August, let's say, to have it. Problem is, are they going to pitch to him? Hang on one second, Drew. I'll get back to that. The problem is, Dave, I mean, in that Orioles series, or what was it, Friday night? Oh, by the way, it's a topic I didn't bring up. Holmes hitting the guy in the ninth inning, and people getting, it was wet. The ball got away from him. There's no way he's trying to hit the guy in that situation. So any of you got Oriole fans, stop it. He's not trying to hit the guy. Why did I bring this up? The problem with him breaking even his own record, Dave, is he going to get pitched to enough? Even with Soto behind him, Soto's got to keep hitting. And then the guys be hit behind him. I might start walking both those guys if they don't get the rest of their lineup improve. Because Judge saw 20 pitches Friday night, 16 of them were balls. And he had a home run and walked 4 times. That's the danger of breaking any records. Flag football, break the chances. There might be time for me then to be an Olympic athlete if breakdancing is going to be an Olympic sport. Woohoo! That's a joke. Where's the laugh track? Hold on. Oh, that's not it. Oh, that's that one. Cricket. That's what I heard there. Nope. Breakdancing. Where's my laugh track? I think the show needs more sound effects. I never make good use of my soundboard. Oh, flag football is for parents who don't want their kids to get hit and for the kids who should be playing soccer. That's probably true. Listen, I have one rule when I can't do it except here in my home or when I have her by myself. If my granddaughter kicks a ball, I put her in timeout. Well, not literally, but I do say, I admonish her, say, no kicking the ball. Pick it up and throw it to grandpa. I get yelled at if I say that when her parents are around. She is going to, I think she's going to be a lefty, by the way. We will be playing catch sooner than later. Alex says flag football is very big in the UK. NFL players will want to win an Olympic medal, and the US will want them in the team to create a buzz. That's entirely possible, Alec. Problem would be the timing of the Olympics. So the Olympics are coming up here in a couple of weeks, right? You're going to pull, again, I don't know how many players are. Let's just say 20 players. More than that. Let's just say, well, I don't even know what the Olympic rules are. Can you have, do you have to have two-way players? They have to play both sides of the ball? That'll be a problem for the NFL. I don't know what the rules are. So I'm just, throwing stuff out there. Are they going to let them walk away from training camp for, 2 weeks? This isn't baseball, right? Where you can walk away in spring training and play in the WBC and come back and, still catch up and be ready for opening day or close to ready. You can't miss time in training camp because it's the only time you're going to hit anybody. And even then you don't hit a lot of people. I don't know if the NFL, I get your point. I'm just not sure. And it's not real football. So, what kind of buzz is it going to create? So I'm not so sure. I get where you're coming from. The timing is going to be tough for the NFL to sign off on that, but it'll be interesting to see. And it's certainly not going to be this year, right? But I guess we've got 4 years before we have to worry about it. CA rushed a draft date last Sunday to publish our fantasy league season 2. I put it up, by the way. Changed draft to August 7th, but can change again if needed. Made other changes, most notably league to 20. So the problem is when I was, maybe I'm doing something wrong, CA. When I post a link and I had it up and I took it down because when you click the link, you wouldn't go to the new season. It was just showing the old stats, so people couldn't really join with the link that I had. So if you could check that out for me, and I will look at it again later on or tomorrow. I don't know when you'll get a chance to look. No rush. I don't want to post it again until people can actually go in and register. I couldn't even go in and register. All I was seeing was last year's records and players, teams. So I think it should be wiped out and we start from scratch. But again, I don't have any admin rights to do that. Paul says Dylan Gabriel, who we talked about a little bit ago, being the Heisman favorite, would be first pick if I played fantasy college football. I can't disagree with that. Because fantasy sports are all about, individual performance, not team performance. And no matter how you slice it, whether we say Quinn Ewers and Carson Beck might be better college football players and more Heisman worthy than Gabriel at the end of the year, I doubt very much that their stats are going to match up to Dylan Gabriel's. And the Heisman shouldn't be all about numbers. It never used to be. It was important, right? But, there were other factors that were thrown in there. But yeah, if there was, and I do believe, by the way, you can find college fantasy leagues. Maybe I'll get in one this year and try it out. All original 12, whoever signs up can invite others until the league is full. All original 12. So everybody's still in there. But when I go in there and look and I see everybody in there, they may not have accepted to play though, right? And how do we know the league is full? All right. I may have to put some cliff notes in along with the link so people don't get confused. So anyway, the 12 guys that were in last year, get in. Hopefully you'll get in. We had some fun. There was one guy that got in at the end. I know filled us up. I can't remember who it was, Drew. Drew. CA. I'm not even sure if he was. I'm not even sure if he participated. To be fair, I don't even know. Garvey, Lopes, Russell say best infield. Well, not defensively though, Paul, which is what Drew was pointing out. Best overall infield, certainly over a long period of time. I think without a doubt, that's this infield. Defensively though, no. Garvey couldn't throw the ball at all. That's why he was playing first base. They tried him at third base. They tried him in left field. He won some gold gloves, but even the Dodgers, reading Say's book is funny. Even the Dodgers would snicker a little bit when he won gold gloves. He was a good first baseman, made some great scoops and such. Couldn't throw the ball. Couldn't throw the ball at all. Davey Lopes, not a great defensive second baseman. Say was a great third baseman. Again, didn't win gold gloves because of Schmidt. And Bill Russell would make big plays in big moments, but he'd had some lapses. He wasn't the greatest fielder or hitter. But I would say overall, if you're looking at best infields over an extended period of time, especially, I would give Garvey, Lopes, and Russell and Say some credence there. I mean, I could probably come up with a couple of Yankee infields that might compete. Never tried breakdancing. Might have been crippled. It's funny because I just started doing more breakdancing recently. Not on purpose, just because I was slipping and falling, trying to catch myself. Prince Harry doesn't deserve the award, and it's such a shame he took it. And this is coming. Well, and it's again, so that's a great point. Not sports related. Well, it is in the sense of the S-piece. I didn't think he deserved the Pat Tillman Award. Is Prince Harry is he just a I mean, is he hated by the Brits today because of the the chasm between him and the royal family, and them just pretty much saying I don't want to be part of it anymore? I know Meghan's not well liked. Sometimes I feel bad. It's funny. Sometimes I want to feel bad for Harry, and then I listen to him talking, the two of them talking. I can't. Jeremy, good morning. How's things in Detroit? A little debate this morning on the big football show about the NFC Central, and there's a show on National Streaming Sports that I think they're the Frozen Thunder or something like that. I haven't seen it. I have to check it out. But I believe they're NFC Central fans, and one of them is a huge Bear fan, and he thinks the Bears will win the division. I mean, again, anything can happen. We saw it with the Texans last year, right? But if you just look at it logically, right now, the Lions and the Packers are both much better than the Bears. Why the Bears blow it up at when it was 6 out of their last 7 games last year is beyond me. You're making progress. You have momentum going into the offseason, and you change your quarterback. Great infields are hard to compare. I certainly agree 100%. You have the meter lead. What? The meter lead Stankies. Baltimore lead Brooks Robinson. The Joe Morgan Reds. Listen, hang on one second. The Cardinals led by back-flipping shortstop. Listen, that would be a good. The Cardinals with Keith Hernandez at first base, Tommy Herr at second base, Ozzie Smith at and again, I'm talking about defensively. I think we're talking. I think now this is morphed into overall, right? Everyone we've talked about has got their weak spots. Russell would have been a weak spot in the Dodger lineup. He didn't have big numbers, but again, he's a guy whose worth didn't show up in the box score, right? He would not have been a great fantasy baseball player by any means, nor would Mark Belanger. But Robinson could hit. Morgan obviously was a great hitter. Hernandez helped every way forward. I agree. It's hard to many more kids. I agree, Kenny. It is to your overall point. It's very hard to compare. But again, one of the things I use as stipulation for mine, and again, it's just off the top of my head, and I might change my mind with a little more research. But when you think about that Dodger infield, they did it over a decade. They were together over a decade. That doesn't happen. That didn't happen then, and it certainly doesn't happen now. So, I mean, if you're going to take them one off, I mean, even the Reds, I mean, they weren't together a long time. The Orioles, I would say, were probably, I mean, I don't know where we come the closest. The Orioles would come close with Robinson, Belanger, Johnson, and Powell. But the Reds infield would change, Rose went from the outfield to third base. Perez went from third base to first base. Davey Concepcion didn't become the starter until the full-time starter until well into their dynasty. Paul Skeens is real-life Kenny Powers. Paul Skeens listen, he's a great player. Plus, he's got a great, with Olivia Dunn being is he his girlfriend or the fiance? I'm not sure if they're engaged or not, but she's certainly all over social media, which isn't going to hurt his marketability. Big question is going to become, do the Pirates ever pay Paul Skeens? Does Paul Skeens stay a Pirate forever? My money says no. Just saying. I haven't, Kenny, through nothing other than my own, what do you call it? Oh my God. my own lack of effort. As always happens, again, when I start doing the interview shows, and I love doing them. Don't you? I think you can see when I do them. I love doing them. I have a blast. Other things get in my way, real life, work, other things where I just don't reach out to people, and because it's a lot of work, and I had people scheduled for 6 or 7 weeks for a bit, and now I've got to. I'm going to run out of people here in 2 weeks, so I've got to really move it. So I will probably reach out to them, probably this week. I do still have the information, and we'll see what we can do about getting. I'd like to have them both on together, talking about the GM, I guess, for lack of a better term, and the coach of the Amsterdam Mohawks. I think it'll be very interesting to see about baseball played at that level. Not barrel rolling. It's called breakdancing because it hurts. Oh, not barrel rolling? Called breakdancing because it hurts. I don't even know what it is. Is that the one where I get down my back and I turn around? I've done that myself. Never, not on purpose, but... Chris, I think we can skip that one because it looks like you stopped. I do that a lot too. I start to type and you hit especially like on Facebook or these comments. I think if you try to like hit enter to go down a line or something, you actually send the message. So that's probably what happens. Mike Hessman still stands tall with 433 home runs at all levels. Who are we talking about? I created this monster, and my Toronto correspondent, Chris F. Grave. What? Who is it? Mike Hessman. I feel. Oh, he played with the Toledo Mudhens. Let's check him out. He has played a total of. He's got a total of. Well, that's the Mets. 223 at bats and 14 homers and 33 RBIs, hitting 188 in the major leagues with Atlanta, Detroit, and the Mets. Let's look in the minors. I hate it when they do that. They don't give me the team. See, the Baseball Reference used to always give me the team that he. Oh, there it is over here. No, that's not it. He used to always give me the minor league team. Now it says Atlanta, low A. Plus, they don't total up his minor league statistics for me. I will say his career average, and this includes his time in the major leagues, his 162 game average is 21 homers and 49 RBIs and a 188 batting average. Listen, I'm sorry, Mike. I'm not laughing at you, but man, you reached deep for this one, Chris. How did this one come up? Where'd you get him? Now, in defense of him, Mike was determined to keep his career going. He played 20 years, most of it in the minor leagues. God bless him. All right. You are holding up your end of the bargain, Mr. F. Gray. Thank you so much. Shouldn't be a problem, Keith. Everyone should easily be able now to share the Fantasy League link. All right. I'll share it again on the page, and I'll test it and send it to one of my buddies to see if he can register, if he wants to do it. I'm speaking for him. As you're at the top, it's not good to be friends with me because your lifespan is going to get shorter. Sorry, I need to joke about these things. Things in Detroit are looking good. Listen, I like a lot what's happening with Detroit. I'm still. I have this thing though, and this isn't just Jared Goff related, but it is in this specific instance. There are certain guys, Jeremy, that just don't ever get over the hump. And in big moments, they kind of show their true colors. Jared Goff's had a couple of really good years in Detroit, and that trade with the Rams, which I think has worked out for both teams. The Rams won a Super Bowl. The Lions got much better, younger. Draft picks turned out pretty well, and the quarterback turned out pretty well. But what I can never get out of my mind's eye is how badly he played against the Patriots in the Super Bowl with the Rams, how badly he played at the end of the game, the second half, mostly against the 49ers with a big lead. And then I always said, guys like Neil O'Donnell would look good, but they'd always remember in a big moment who they really were. And I really don't. I know it sounds like a huge criticism because he's a really good quarterback, but is he going to get them over the top? I'm not so sure. I'm sure you probably think differently, but I just don't know. Yeah, and again, I expect some comments on that golf assessment. Probably we won't agree, but maybe we do. I don't know. But Jeremy, who follows at NFC Central, good God, just showed my age, NFC North closely. Again, Fields had been getting better and better. I mean, his accuracy was still not what it was, but he'd gotten better every year. They win 6 out of 7 games, some of them due to his fourth quarter heroics, if you will, and then they blow it up. So I mean, you've got momentum. You're building something, and I thought I had picked the Bears to make the playoffs last year. And they buried themselves early in the year. But Fields, listen, I think he'll be the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh. I truly do. Again, don't forget the Vikings. It's hard. It's not hard to forget the Vikings. Listen, you got a really good coach. And it's unfair. You're right. I probably should not leave the Vikings out of this conversation. I like JJ McCarthy a lot. I think he could be best prepared to play in the NFL right now of all these rookie quarterbacks that we talk about. And I like your coach a lot. And I think they're going to win, and they're going to win soon. I mean, Jefferson, who's on the other side? I can't remember. Addison. You got a really good tight end. Got to play some defense, though. Right? And I think that's going to be the Vikings' issue this year. This is why I don't. And again, in fairness, the Lions have shown something the last couple of years, building to a crescendo, and maybe they get over the top. Again, if I want to be fair, we say that it takes teams, and then they need to learn how to win in the playoffs. So maybe I'm not being fair to Goff. When I look at the Packers, again, Jordan Love made great strides the end of the last year, but it's still a small sample size for that team and for him. So, I think the Packers still have to prove something this year to me. I like them. I like Jordan Love. I think he'll be one of the better quarterbacks in the league. But he's got something to prove as well. There's not a quarterback there. I mean, that's the problem. I think there's a question with all the quarterbacks. And the one who's probably got the best track record, even though he lost big games, is Jared Goff. That's a good one, too. Trammell, I'm trying to remember who played Trammell and Whitaker in the middle. Did Tom Brookins play third base? Help me out. Darrell Evans. Darrell Evans played first base and DH. I don't know if he played more first base. Let me check it out. I want to check it out. This is what I like to do, man. I like to check it out. Hold on. Tigers. I want to check this out because I need to know who played the most games. At these positions. So hold on one second. So Bergman was they list as he had 316 at bats. Bergman was a good defensive player and an underrated player that year. Former Yankee farmhand. The Whitaker. Oh, Howard Johnson had the most at bats at third base that year. I'm a little shocked. I thought it was Brookins played more there. It's a good infield. Listen, any infield with Whitaker, and Lou Whitaker, by the way, Lou Whitaker deserves some Hall of Fame consideration, considering position. Again, what do you have? 244 home runs. What do you have? 244, 1,000 RBIs, 276. How many Gold Gloves? Rookie of the Year. All-Star game 5 times, MVP of the All-Star game. I'm sorry, it wasn't the MVP of the All-Star game. He was top 10 in the All-Star voting in 83. 3 Gold Gloves. It's a good infield. Vikings aren't. They are minor league team for Dallas. Why do you say that? Have they made a trade since the Herschel Walker trade? I'm not sure that they have. I mean, they didn't take their quarterback. Atlanta went and took their quarterback. Trying to think of guys that went from Vikings to the Dallas Cowboys and Herschel Walker. Who am I missing? The NFL has some tight divisions, maybe none tighter than the AFC and the AFC and NFC North divisions. I would tend to agree with that, CA. I really would. In my mind, I see the Chargers as my prohibitive favorite to win it all. I like the Chargers, but my prohibitive favorite to win it all will still be the Kansas City Chiefs. Until they get beat, I keep saying this, and people have written them off 2 years in a row, and all they did was win a Super Bowl both years. And they're going to be better this year than they were last year. But the Chargers will be very good. They got to replace some talent at wide receiver with Keenan Allen, and Mike, or who's the other guy? Mike Williams gone to the Jets and the Bears. Listen, my thoughts about Altuve skipping the All-Star game. I don't think any of these guys should skip the All-Star game. One of the reasons the All-Star game, and Drew and I talked a little bit about it back and forth during the MLB update. Guys don't care. They don't show up. They look for any reason not to play. Not all of them, and that's not fair. Unless he's got a major injury, if you're able to play, go play. If you're playing in real games, go play. If you're hurt and you're not playing in your team's games, then yeah, beg out. I'm okay. But if you're not too hurt to play in those other games, go take it, play 3 innings and go take a shower. Why should I care about the game when the players don't care about the game? Most of the players don't care about the game. I'll bet you Paul Skeens cares about the game, and I'll bet you he's very excited, and I'll bet you he wishes he gets to pitch more than 1 inning. But they take, 16 pitchers, so that's unlikely. And the uniforms are I believe, are a nod to the Longhorn State, and they're atrocious as usual. Can you just put them back? I do think they have their team logo on a hat, but the hat looks like the uniforms are awful again. Just let them wear their uniforms like they did for, what was the first All-Star game? 1936. I'm making a guess. And we only, wore our own team's uniforms for 80 some years. That wasn't good enough. We need something else to sell. We need a hat to sell. We need a jersey to sell. Sucks, man. Second. Who's first? I might have him first without just thinking off the top of my head. Unless you got Cobb first, maybe. But Morgan, I think, is at number 1 for me. I'd love to know another great debate we can have here some Sunday, or it's probably better here than on the MLB update. All-time team. Maybe we'll do that during the off season. 1 position a week we'll debate. Everybody can throw their names out. Right now, I can't put a guy above Morgan. You might give me a name, CA. Patriots rule. It's going to be a long year, Paul. I just had this conversation because we were talking about the Bears fan thinking they'd make the playoffs. So they could. Anything can happen. Look what happened to Texans last year. So, and I kind of got lumped in with these guys because I said on a show that I thought the Patriots had a shot at a wild card, but I also prefaced it with they're more likely to win 4 or 5 games. I get that. If everything breaks right in a perfect storm scenario, I could see the Patriots winning 9 games and sneaking into the playoffs. I don't see anything wrong with that statement. I'm a fan, and I think anybody who watches me knows that I am very hard on my teams. I won't tolerate people ripping people on my teams that's unjustified in my eyes. But I am very hard on the Patriots, very hard on the Yankees when they deserve it. And even when I'm critical, I want to be wrong. I'm not happy with the whole Drake May thing. I pray to God Drake May's not a bust, or this franchise is set back another 5 years. But I would have gone a different route. I'm very clear on that. Marvin Harrison and a quarterback later. Or next year. There's a couple guys that went late in this draft. I talked about Pratt a lot. I don't know if he's going to get a shot. Can't remember who drafted him now. But again, I'm not a rose-colored glasses fan who just says, we're going 17-0. Again, I think in a perfect storm scenario, they could find a way to 9 wins. That defense is going to be really good. They're going to be in games. The question is going to come down to the quarterback and the rest of the offense. Can they protect the quarterback, and can the quarterback execute and play clean? Chris, 1991, there was one rookie who never got to touch. What am I talking about here? In 1991, there was one rookie who never got the touch in rookie cards, top rated rookie. That's a lot for me to try to read, apparently. Travis Fryman. Travis Fryman was a nice player. I think he played with the Tigers. I think he played with the Indians. Nice player. In fact, I've been trying to get Travis Fryman on the show. Had some communication back and forth, and now it's gone dark, which tends to happen a lot. I told Danny Fuller. Danny hasn't with us so far yet this morning. I told Danny Fuller that I finally got a reply from Todd Marinovich. And it was simply cool. One word. Sounds like a guy living in Hawaii, doesn't it? So I think he's open to being on the show. That, by the way, when I do Todd Marinovich, the Todd Marinovich interview, I'm going to have to record that. He's in Hawaii. I don't think I'm going to get him up at 3:30 in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning to do a live interview on a Friday morning. So we'll do it when I do. I always love when I say do. 12-year-old in me comes out. He said doo-doo. When I do that interview, we'll do it. We'll record it, and then we'll probably save it for a week that I don't have a guest or something. And that's not out of any disrespect to Todd Marinovich, but it's usually better for me. And by now, I'm surprised I don't have a couple of recorded interviews in the can, but we'll get there. It's a tough time. Listen, everybody's busy in the summer, right? We had Dennis Rasmussen scheduled, and he's still coaching in the minor league. So something happened, and he couldn't make it. And now we're probably going to record that interview. I'm waiting for him to call me. Hopefully he will this week. I'll reach out to him if I don't, because I want to get it scheduled, and I'm interested in that interview. So, Alan. Eric Kendricks is a former Viking we got this year, but he was with the Chargers last year. Yeah, who's he? So, again, I'm trying to get from Kenny who all these guys are since Herschel Walker, which, by the way, was 30 years ago or more than 30 years ago. Who are all these great players going for the Vikings to the Cowboys? Or maybe Rick knows. I don't know. Maybe since it's in Texas, he doesn't want to get rained on with booze. I doubt that's the case. These guys just don't want to play. They don't care about the game. He's getting booed everywhere. So, again, and why is he going to get rained on, by the way, with booze? Because he's an Astro, or because of this supposed awful conspiracy of stealing signs, which never happened in pro baseball before. I certainly hope the sarcasm is recognized. If they don't want to, you'd probably be voting for me and you then, Kenny. Already the fantasy baseball matchup this week. Keith and I are both winning our matchup 60-4. It's Sunday, by the way. I need 16-4 wins from now until the end of the season, probably, to have a chance at making playoffs. Anyway, but instead of playing them after today's games, we have an additional 3 days worth of games next week because of the All-Star break. Are you kidding me? Why? Why is the week not over? Well, now you got me looking. Are there no games today? No, there's games today. Why is it not over? Well, this is horse crap. Not you, Drew, but what? I don't understand. Because Yahoo insists you can't have a short week? That's BS. It's time to get out of the Yahoo thing, by the way. It sucks. It's just me. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. I just don't understand why, I get the beginning of the season. You have a 2-week almost open, but whatever. I wonder why I don't really give a crap. Jesus Christ. By the way, I don't believe that's the case in the other Yahoo league I'm in. I don't think. Maybe it is. Oh, God. Anyways. So guys get extra games to meet their innings limits. And jeez. Oh, you had Joe as your top second baseman. All right. I thought you said number 2. Maybe you meant second base. Sorry, my bad. I think Joe Morgan is easily the best second baseman of all time. All-round second baseman? Sure. I mean, you can make an argument for Jeff Kent from a power perspective, maybe, but not defensively. He didn't match up with Joe Morgan. Running speed, stolen bases. Also, maybe being a good teammate. Pratt went to Green Bay, right? Thank you. I knew he was someplace he may not play, but I'm going to tell you something. Michael Pratt will be in this league for a while. He may not be a huge star because he's going to need the right situation. He doesn't have one. He's playing behind Love, probably. Michael Pratt will be in this league for a while. Rogers Hornsby, that's very hard to debate. But again, if I want to, I'm not putting any of these other guys who are great players. Again, Jackie Robinson moved to first base, didn't play long enough at second base. His career wasn't long enough. That's not bad enough for him. I'm sorry, that's not on him. These are all great players. I don't think they're better than Morgan. The only guy I will give you the benefit of the doubt on is Rogers Hornsby. Let me just check out. And again, I'm probably not going to get into batting averages and stuff. It's hard to compare. First of all, we know it's hard to compare. I mean, I think he averaged about 380 for his career, didn't he? 358. That's pretty good. 301 home runs, 1,500 RBIs. All right, I can put him in the 135 stolen bases. Morgan will kill him there. No gold gloves, but they may not have been handing out gold gloves at that point. I don't know when the gold glove, they probably weren't. I mean, I don't know when gold gloves come into consideration in the 60s, Drew. I'm not even sure. But those guys there's an argument they made for all those guys. When you compare errors, it's very difficult. And again, it's a taste thing. I prefer Joe Morgan. Loved his game. Keith, it was just a little jab at a competitor in the black and blue division. Oh, I see. I didn't think. I thought, well, listen, because I fall asleep sometimes and forget decades. So I want to make sure to miss anything. Blacklisted players can be a matter of the way the wind blows. Robert Asuno is pitching well in Japan. What was he banned for? Oh, Roberto, sorry. You know, it's funny. I was watching an old Pirate game the other day. Was this a domestic assault thing, if I remember right? Or I don't remember now. Let's see what he was banned for, eh? Blue Jays, blah, 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 blah. Astros. What did he do? Just quit school. He was arrested by Toronto police and charged with assault. He allegedly assaulted Alejandra Roman Cota, the mother of his 3-year-old son. You know, so this is a guy, sorry, again, this is something I will never have. I'm sure he's blackballed because of this. And actually, you know what, Chris? I'm okay with that. I had this same, in fact, when I was doing my vlogs, which was before your time following the show, I used to do a weekly vlog where you'd really see angry Keith a lot of times. And one was about Domingo Germán, who at the time was one of the Yankees' best pitchers. And he'd been arrested in his native country, I think the Dominican, for assaulting his wife. I have no respect for men who put their hands on a woman and beat a woman. None. I don't give them second chances. I have friends that I have not given second chances to, and I'm not going to do it for Major League Baseball players. Now, I'm glad he's pitching well. Good for him. But when it comes to these types of characters, no, I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt. If it can be proven he didn't do anything, well, then, you know, I'll change my tune and say I was wrong, like I do. But I have very strong opinions, as I think people who follow me know, on this specific topic, and it's something that I just cannot abide. Yahoo is not that great. You know, whatever. I mean, when you're not paying, if you don't pay, you're not going to get anything great. You know, when I was with leagues prior, I'd retired from fantasy baseball for a few years before Drew got me in his league, and I had done auction leagues most of the time, and deep auction leagues where you'd pick 40 guys, and we were picking guys in the minor leagues. You had to fill out your roster. It was a dynasty league. You know, it was salary capped, and we had to pay. CBS was awesome, and CBS and something, we had something in another league called All-Star Stats that was really good. You had to pay for them. You know, anything you do free isn't going to be that great. Plus, again, there was a lot of, you know, you could sign guys to long-term contracts, and it was really, I just got tired of it. Again, it's very similar. I mean, I guess I get bored with things. I don't know. I came back because Drew asked me to, and sometimes I do well, and sometimes I don't. 3 years ago, I finished second. I haven't been able to get out of my own way since. And again, I always had a conflict in my own mind, even when I was playing. Again, the leagues I was in, we started in 1987. 1987. Like, I don't think you were born yet in 1987, were you, Alan? Even though all those years I was playing, I always had a conflict in my own mind because I didn't like what fantasy sports, and I still don't to a certain extent, did to the way people watch sports. I think I talked about this a little last week. It still bugs me a little bit, which is why, you know, I play, but I'm not a fanatic. I'm a sports fanatic, which is why, again, I talk about guys that I think are very valuable to teams and contribute to teams winning and winning pennants. But they would have like zero value. Not zero, but they'd have much less value in fantasy sports than they would have in real life. And, you know, I'd have them on my team over some guys that have tremendous stats. You know, so again, it is what it is. And it's not that I hate it. But like I said, for 30, almost 35, 30, what is that? Can I do 37 years, almost 40 years? I've played these sports and been conflicted. And I didn't stop playing because of that. When I stopped playing, and I had a little 2-year gap, only a 2 or 3 year gap, I think, maybe not even that, when I started playing with Drew. The gap was more because of, you know, there was a lot of animosity. This league that we'd been in, again, 30, at that time, 30, let's just say 32 years, whatever it was. 11 of the 12 teams had been the same teams, the same people for 32 years. You try to do that. You can't do that in the major leagues. But some new people had come in, and I didn't like the animosity, the arguing about trades and people bitching and moaning about every freaking thing. And I just lost my taste and dropped out. So now, you know, now Drew got me back in, and then Greg Rawlings talked me into getting a couple leagues for paid leagues. Well, and again, never gonna. But Ozzie Smith, what was Ozzie Smith blacklisted for, Kenny? I'm missing something here. I think you're thinking of a different name. And I would say the best player ever blacklisted was Shoeless Joe Jackson. But he was suspended. He wasn't really blacklisted, right? What was Ozzie Smith blacklisted for? Thanks for the name. What I do. Billy Martin was not in the running for the best. Billy Martin had some great World Series, and Billy Martin was, you know, a capable Major League second baseman during his time with the Yankees before he was exiled, you know, for being a bad influence on Mickey and Whitey Ford. Right after the Copacabana fight, he got sent to Kansas City, I think. But Billy had some great World Series. Had a tremendous World Series. I want to say in 56. I could have the year wrong. Could have even won a MVP. Did he? Let me find out. Where are you, Billy Martin? Billy's overall stats, though, are not that great. But postseason wise, he was a clutch player. Clutch. That's too funny. I don't even have Billy Martin. There. So Billy averaged 10 home runs, 53 RBIs for his career in the regular season. Hit 257. 1953 was his best year. He finished 25th in the MVP voting. He was an all-star once. See, do they have his postseason numbers here? Here it is. In the 1953 World Series, he hit 500, 12 for 25, which is a little under 500, so they rounded up with 2 homers, 8 RBIs, and he made a great catch on a wind-blown pop-up that was going to fall in the infield. So now Billy wouldn't be one of the best. Kenny, the only fantasy football league we played was back when Buffalo was losing the Super Bowl. No, we played one last year. Thought it was foolish and still not sure what the fun is. Yeah, we do it again. CA wanted to put this one together, and I know guys enjoy it, so I did it. Fantasy football I played for a long time as well in money leagues. Again, I still have my own little issue with it because it ruins the way people watch the game, I think. I mean, that's why I don't take Patriots, right? I don't want to be pissed off at my team, my players for not doing well. I hardly ever take Patriots. I don't take Yankees as a rule. So, by the way, the 40-man dynasty league that we had for all those years was just a National League. So you were digging deep, man. And that part of it was fun. Putting together a team, again, from one league and putting together a basically a farm system, and guys would pick guys in high school. It was a lot of fun trying to build a team that way. You can only, again, keep, you could keep as many guys as you wanted. You can keep your guys from year to year. The contracts run out, you don't have them anymore. You can extend them as long as you want, but if you bid, $40 for a superstar and you wanted to extend him 10 years, well, now he's a $90 player because you got to add 5 years for every year you wanted to add him. So you didn't do that very often. You had superstars that you paid a lot of money for. You extend them a couple of years, and then you lose them, just like you do in real life. It was really the closest thing. The auction leagues were the closest thing to real baseball I've ever played. In a way, you had to put a team together. You put a farm team together. It was fun. But again, I had this little moral issue with the way it affected people the way they were. Again, I don't know whether we can use blackball. Blackball is more, when I said shoeless Joe Jackson, he's also suspended for life. Pete Rose is suspended for life. So it's a little different than being blackballed in the sense that when you're blackballed, you're not officially suspended. People just don't bring you back. Trevor Bauer, for instance, right now, I believe there is no sanctions from Major League Baseball against. So that would be the key, right? No sanctions, but nobody takes a chance on him. And Trevor Bauer is probably that player today, the best player today. But yeah, Rose wasn't playing then either. Rose was never blackballed as a player, only as a manager. And also not allowed into the Hall of Fame because you cannot be considered for the Hall of Fame if you're on the permanently ineligible list. So again, there's reasons people have not voted for him because they cannot. I'm still waiting for Kenny to tell me about Ozzie Smith. Your little league isn't really the same thing. Your little league really isn't the same thing. I'm not really sure what we're talking about. I did just say that, didn't I? I think I just said that. Oh, I guess, yeah, I missed your Ozzie comment here. Sorry. Ozzie wanted money. When they didn't pay him, they sent him packing, and nobody touched him after that. I don't know if I'm buying that. I believe Ozzie Smith was 40 years old when he stopped playing. Let me check this out. I mean, he paid 18 years. He was 41 years old when he quit. And he was a part-time player his last year. Now, he was traded from the Padres to the Cardinals in a challenge trade, if you will, for Gary Templeton, to another, at the time, Gary Templeton's game fell off after that trade somewhat. but they were probably the two best shortstops in the National League at the time. Both of them were having contract situations with their specific teams, but he wasn't blackballed. He got traded from his team. I mean, he played 18 years. I'm not. Yeah, I can't buy into that one. He is a great player for sure, but I don't think Ozzie was really blackballed. Well, we had that already. I'm not sure what that one's about. Your little league isn't really the same thing. I'm not really sure what you're talking about there, but that's fine. I don't need to. Wow, this is the first time in a long time that we run out of topics at 10:12. What can I throw out there to entice you guys here a little bit? What didn't I talk about today? Nobody's interested in Jalen Brunson signing this big contract. Nobody's interested in the WNBA. Nobody's interested in the Olympics. We talked about the All-Star game. What is this one I wrote down over here? Are the Mets for real? I mean, here's a good one. Some of you guys are big baseball fans. Are the Mets for real? Alan, speak up a bunch of Rangers. I asked this, and I hope you're still here, Alan. If you're not, I'm wasting my breath here. I'm trying to go on. I'm watching this thing about the shooting a little bit yesterday, and it's so interesting watching this stuff on like CBS compared to, say, Fox or whatever. What was I going to say? Forgot what I was going to say. Paul says the NBA. So you feel that way about the Celtics as well? I thought you were a Celtic fan, Paul. This could be because you see the Knicks putting together a team with great wings that's being built specifically to compete against the Celtics. And are we getting ready to? I don't disagree with you. Listen, I will disagree a little bit. There are times, and especially in the past 20 years, where it has resembled playground basketball. But if you listen, I love watching your Celtic team because they move the basketball. You watch the Knicks in the playoffs. There are times where it devolves into Brunson and forcing shots up, but that was more because of the guys on the court at the time and the injuries. When they're healthy, man, they move the basketball. The Golden State Warriors, when they were so good, moved the basketball. Now, the object of moving the basketball has changed a little bit. It's to get the best look at a three-pointer you can get rather than a 12-foot jump shot like the Knicks of the 70s. But I would say with teams that are successful, and the Celtics fall right into this. I think the Celtics play a very entertaining brand of basketball for the most part. Yeah, I knew you were a Celtics fan. You don't think this team plays a decent brand of, and I know Kenny doesn't think so. I see his comment coming up next. I don't know if it's, he said, he's been wrong all this time about Ozzie. That's all right. I mean, Ozzie probably appreciates it. Maybe he did want more money at 41 years old. I don't know. I do know there weren't a lot of teams going to touch him, though. But anyway, I'm surprised you're because I don't totally disagree with your comment, Paul, that sometimes games, especially regular season games, devolve into playground basketball. The playoff games that I watched this year, mostly the Knicks and the Celtics, I saw a lot of really good stuff, a lot of ball movement, a lot of better fundamental play than I've seen in a long time. I watched the Knicks, the ball go inside the Hartenstein, and him hitting guys cutting to the basket right and left with the Knicks. And I feel like the Celtics played that kind of basketball too. And I know I'm probably in the wrong pew here, reaching to the wrong choir. Mets are for real now, Drew says. Oh, for now. Sorry. Are real for now. But their pitching staff won't sustain them without reinforcements. Senga might help. I'm not hearing a lot of great things about Senga and his recovery. He's had several setbacks, which is why I finally dropped him from my DL list. Yahoo can call it whatever they want. Hey, that's why maybe that's why, because they're politically correct with this IL thing. Maybe that's why I don't like Yahoo. I'm sure they're all the same. But I'm thinking the Mets will be going out and getting some reinforcements. Again, the question is going to be what's out there and what they're willing to give up. Because some of the guys that are any good aren't going to come cheap. And we should have listed. I don't have that list in front of me, Drew. We'll look at it Friday because we'll be getting much closer to the trade deadline next Friday, obviously. And we can look at some of those potential free agents that will be likely to be moved. That won't be the only list, though. I mean, if guys with 1 year in a contract are getting traded more and more as well. So we'll see. And the bullpen, listen, if they get Edwin Diaz back on track, that would be a huge deal for the Mets. Mets fans should be very happy with what's happened with them so far. I think they're one of the bigger surprises for me right now in the first half. There are times, but you got to remember again, Rick, you have to remember who was on the court at the time. And what the mandate was. Randall was the man. Randall's not the man anymore. Randall, I mean, he's the third option at best to me because, and again, they didn't have OG. They didn't have, he played with Brunson for, more than the rest of the guys, but he hasn't played with Hart that much. He hasn't played with DiVincenzo that much. He hasn't played with a lot of these guys who really stepped up their game while Julius Randle is out. Julius Randle is going to have to really take a hard look at himself and see where he fits in his team. And if he isn't going to buy into it, then Julius Randle is going to be out of here if they can trade his contract. I mean, he's not your first option anymore. He's not the man on this team. And that's a good thing if he buys into his role. Well, I would look at those were great teams, and the game was played differently all together, right? Even with the three-pointer, I mean, there weren't a lot of three-pointers being taken. The game's changed. Bottom line sports. I did not, and Flo's doing by the way, bottom line sports. And I didn't get a chance to mention at the top today, but I've been trying to mention some of the groups that are very supportive of my stuff. The Bottom Line Sports Show, Flo and the gang, by the way, great stuff over there. Check them out. And they're very kind to let me share my content with them. And I'm happy, Flo, if this is Flo, to share your guys' stuff if you get it to me, because I don't always catch it, right? I'm happy to. I shared a couple of shows, I think, a few weeks back. So I didn't talk about not taking Jaylen Brown. They took Derek White instead. And here's the thing, and I got into this with Mac on the Mac and Jack show a little bit when we were talking about, whether the NBA stars should even be there, and they should. I made the mistake of saying, the best players they want to take. It isn't all to be the best players. It's the best team. So Steve Kerr's the coach, and Steve Kerr wants to put the best team he can together that's going to compete. Because, by the way, you're not just going to throw a basketball out there this year and the U.S. is walking away with a gold. There are a lot of good players and a lot of good teams in Europe. Well, not a lot, a handful of teams in Europe that are going to give this team a run for their money. And Leonard, because all of a sudden I couldn't say Kawhi. Thank you. Kawhi was asked to leave, by the way. Grant Hill said that, because of his health situation, it was best that he go. And I think he did confer with the Clippers, but I had a little argument with Mac. The Clippers didn't make the decision and say Kawhi can't play. He wasn't going to make the team probably because of his health. And as far as Jaylen Brown not getting picked, again, I'm just guessing Steve Kerr feels that Derek White brings something to this team that it was lacking. Maybe a defensive presence. Again, I'm not sure. And I haven't looked into it that much. I'd love to get your opinion on it for sure. We got some NBA talk today. Yes. Well, listen, and people will say, well, he's getting paid plenty of money. I agree. But the fact remains, if he waited to sign his contract till next year, he could have got $113 million more dollars. And this is a Nick-friendly contract. I'd like to see that. Paul, when Bird played, it was just short of being the second NHL league. That's not true. That's not true. The heyday of the NBA was the 80s. Magic and Bird, the Lakers and the Celtics. And as a Knicks fan, it doesn't make me excited to say that. Second to the NHL. The NBA was huge through the 80s and the 90s. Ratings were through the roof. The NHL didn't even have a TV contract. I know Kenny likes to throw out a little, hyperbole now and then. For Drew at the end of the bar, is Andy Hawkins an all-time Yankee? Will you stop? I'm not even going to let you get away with that one. Andy Hawkins isn't in the top 1,000 pitchers that pitched in baseball. Andy Hawkins' claim to fame is he pitched a no-hitter and lost 4-0. It killed me today, Chris. You keep throwing them out there. The young guy in tennis is showing the old guy his place. I haven't followed tennis since McEnroe and Connors and Borg. Maybe a little bit with Sampras, but I'm not really sure who we're talking about there, Kenny. So you're going to have to help me out. Is this Flo? It is Flo. I see in the next one. I disagree with Julius Randle. Is probably number 2 at best. But yeah, I agree. Well, you disagree. Well, no, I think you're agreeing with me, maybe disagreeing with Rick. I'm not sure anyway, Flo. But listen, Randall's going to have to buy into a new role. Plain and simple. Right? And if he does, because he's not the number 1 option, that's Brunson. And there are going to be times where he's not number 2, number 3, number 4. Because there are going to be times because you've got so many ways you can go on this team now. You've got Brunson. You've got OG. You've got Bridges. Again, number 1 guy is Brunson. I never thought this guy was going to be what he is. And I want to see him try to kind of force the ball a little less in big situations. But again, I think a lot of that was geared towards, who was on the court and who was not playing. But there's going to be times that Julius is not going to be even the number 2 option, as you mentioned here. And I think he can maintain his best, and maybe playing less minutes will help him stay healthy and contribute even more in a different role, if you will. His numbers won't be as outstanding, right? As eye-popping as they were, let's say. But he's liable to contribute more to the success of this team if he buys in. And that's going to be very important for this Nick team as a role, or get them off of here. So yes, it is Flo, and you're welcome, Flo. I've been trying to mention, and sometimes I forget, and I apologize. There's a couple of groups I always want to mention at the top of the show, and I've missed it the last couple of shows just because, again, I got a 64-year-old brain. But Flo and Bottom Line Sports and those guys do great stuff. John Gonzalez, who often joins us on a Sunday, I haven't seen at the Sports Authorities. Tremendous group. Very supportive of this show and a lot of others. And post some great stuff. I see Drew's really been involved, contributing over there, commenting on some of the posts and whatnot. It's good to see. And also Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime for the Love of Baseball. Another great group. Tons and tons of former major leaguers in that group. Major League Baseball players, Major League umpires. Greg does a great job and is a good friend of this show as well. And he runs about 20 different groups now, but also very important to supporting this show. Brown is basically Kawhi 2.0. As he's used to taking a bit of a back seat. Well, there you go. Jaylen Brown's a good player. I probably, but I don't know. I mean, between Derek White and Brown, I don't know. I'd have to look a little bit closer, Flo, to really make a more informed opinion, quite frankly. But I don't think it's something that I'm going to get worked up about. Which guy goes? And again, it's not about who the best players are, as I kind of missed my point with Mac the other day. It's about putting the best team together, right? And that's not always the guys with the gaudy stats. I'm not saying Brown wouldn't be willing to take a back seat. I think he'd be more willing to take a back seat than Kawhi, probably, actually. I missed the point. Oh, I see what you're saying. My bad. They played... Actually, there's a book I think I'm going to download on Kindle about those times. In fact, I've read a bunch of books, some really good books on the NBA about the dark times in the 70s, mid to late 70s, when NBA championship games were relegated to, tape delayed at 11:30 at night, and Bird and Magic basically saved the league. But you're right. Fights were pretty common at that point. So I apologize, Kenny, for missing the point there. Sometimes I lose the context. This fight's, though, Kenny, like knocking over a box of popsicle sticks. I would say that any fight in sports don't compare with hockey fights ever. The NBA would have some good ones back in the day. Baseball fights as a rule, and unless it's Nolan Ryan, knocking the crap out of Robin Ventura. Sorry, I had to throw that in one more time, Chris. Or Greg Nettles, body slamming Bruce Lee, Bill Lee, and dislocating his shoulder. Most baseball fights are like we saw Friday night with the Yankees and Orioles, and they just stand around, holding on to each other. Andy Hawkins now, Jim Massier. You guys are killing me. I might take Hawkins over Massier. Alvarez is dominating Djokovic, really? Well, there you go. What are we at? I don't even know. Are we at Wimbledon yet? I don't even know. Guess we're gonna go a little long. Look like we're gonna get out of here on time today. We're still gonna, through July, and in August we'll start getting more time oriented. But let me see what I can find here. I'm fine talking about other sports, and I do like to. Are they playing now, or am I missing something? Sunday's Wimbledon final. Oh, it's a Wimbledon final now. I don't even know that. See how bad I am? How do I find the scores? Here we go. Right now, Carlos Alcaraz, 6-2, 6-2, leading 2 sets to none. Djokovic did win game 1 of the third set. There was a time when we were doing a kind of a news show in the mornings on Northeast Streaming Sports. I would get into these the tennis and these big tournaments and do the scores. But other than the top guys like Djokovic, I don't know a lot of the guys. But that's interesting. It's good for Youngblood. Where's this kid from? I'm not grasping his flag. And Djokovic has got a, he's a guy who's really had some interesting stuff going on around the world since 2020. Flo thinks the Knicks could be more like the 2004 Pistons, where there will be different guys taking number one scoring role. I agree. I mean, they are deep. They are deep. And my whole point to Paul was, I think there's better team basketball being played today than there has been in a while. During the regular season, just break down into some crap. Yes. But I agree that this team is so deep right now that there will be different guys that will step up from night to night. When DiVincenzo is hot, shooting that three, you're going to see him lead his team in scoring. Bridges will have his nights, and Bridges is going to be such much better player than he was with the Nets. He was not built to be a number one option. He was very good when he was the second or probably third option at times with the Suns. So I think this, and that's I think that's probably a good comparison. Flo is with the 2004 Pistons. That's a good one. Being on the DL, thank you. Rick. Being on a DL with most of my fantasy teams allowed me time to watch more basketball and sports as a whole. Orioles 5-game losing streak ties up Marlins. Again, we talked about teams that would be happy. I think the Orioles are probably very happy with the All-Star break coming when it came. I think it's good for the Dodgers as they've gone into a really bad slump. They still lead the division by 7 games, but after yesterday's loss, we talk all the time. We had a discussion a while back on Mac and Jack about whether you would rather get blown out or lose a heartbreaker. Well, I'd rather get blown out every time than lose a game like the Dodgers lost yesterday, blowing a 5-run lead in the 9th inning and losing in extra innings. So, yeah, we talked about this a little bit somewhere in the top or the middle of the show that, Mets probably are not happy that they're now about to get 5 days off. Or they're 4 days off. I think they're back Friday, right, everybody? But some teams aren't. I need the White Sox to go on another losing streak. I need them to get back on that 121 loss pace. Right now it's 100. Well, Friday it was 116. What have they done since then? Where are they? They lost 3. They might be back on it. Hold on. They lost 3 in a row. So that means they lost Friday and Saturday. They could be getting close to 120 again. 162 divided by, what's their winning percentage? 278. Oh, shit. Excuse my French. I had them winning 582 games. Oh, my God. Times 0.278. Are you kidding me? This is my Perth education now. 45 wins. They're still 117 loss. Come on, White Sox. Serbia. Is that where Alcaraz, what's his name? What did I just say his name was? Alcaraz. It looks like that could be Serbia. So tell me if I just click on his name. Spain. He's from Spain, actually. Turned pro in 2018. He's only 21 years old, to Kenny's point. Fun stat comparison. Astros lead the majors in batting average, 263, but with only a 323 on base percentage. Dodgers batting 254, but lead with a 335 on base percentage. Well, they got more home run and walk guys, right? I mean, well, Muncy hasn't been playing, but he's, the true sense of three true outcomes. 335 is not a great team on base percentage. This is one of the things that really irks me, right? Is some of the lack of just getting base runners. It's a worldwide practice. Actually, usually when I say pardon my French, it's not French. I found out the F word is not French. I always say pardon my French. Not turns out it's not a French word. I know. Jeez, Flo, it's terrible. I try to hold myself back. I mean, I don't drop F-bombs and whatever, but I do drop a BS now and again, whatever. Perth math. No, I couldn't get the calculator to work. Nobody uses a calculator anymore, right? I mean, they use their phone, and I still have this calculator on my desk from like 1998. They laugh at me at work, right? They're all doing this math on their whatever. I got my calculator out during a meeting trying to figure something out. Oh, God. White Sox lowest batting average, shocking. On base percentage, 281. I mean, you got the decimal point in the wrong place there. See, I know math. 281. I mean, yeah, I can't understand why they're not winning. This team's going to unload. At the trade deadline. They may not hold on to anybody. Oh, Djokovic. I meant Alcaraz. I think you're right about Djokovic. I think I did know where he was from. Let's find out just to verify. Sorry about that, Flo. You are right. Serbia. Belgrade. If the F word is also a worldwide, it's an all creature. Kenny's got me there twice. Kenny, thank you for putting me in my place. Keys are bigger. You're right. Bigger than a calculator, bigger than my phone. If I do it on the computer, then I need, just let the old guy use the old tools or tell me to go home. Well, I am home. Yeah, well. 10-10 and legs must win by 2 in match play. I think that's a dart update from our professional dart tournament correspondent, CA. Good to have you with us. Anyway, guys, I think we'll wrap it up. It's been a good Sunday morning. Appreciate it. Brightening my spirits a little bit. It's a tough Saturday for the country and for me personally. Oh, man, I don't know. What we got here? Did I miss something? Believe it or not, math is done in my mind. Writing is not my forte, as you know. Oh, guys, well, thanks again. Thanks to everybody for contributing today, as you always do. That's why this is my favorite show of the week. It will continue to be just that. So thanks for writing my Sunday. You guys have a great Sunday. Stay cool. Got a new splash pad coming for my granddaughter. We'll see how that works out later. Sure, Grandpa will probably fall and hurt himself, but he'll see you next week. So have a great day, guys. See you later. Have a good week, Drew. Yes, Friday recap, MLB. Have a great Friday.